welcome to the Melanated Perspective. I'm your host, J.R. King.
And I'm your host, Natasha Jonelle, and this is the Just the Two of Us edition. As we travel through life, we encounter so many different people, and we learn different types of love. Today, we want to just talk about love in general, to give the overall concept and understanding of what that is.
Right. I feel like there's no right or wrong way to love, but there's beauty in learning different types of love and being able to apply them to your life. I feel like we should have a balance in the way we love and how we utilize the different types of love that's out there. I feel like we can't put too much on the romantic love and then forget about the family love or the brotherly love or the godly love. And this is what we bring to you today, the different types of love.
Before starting this journey that we've been on, I never even knew there were different types of love. Until now, taking a little further, doing some more research,
Right.
Growing, learning self, learning you, and now being presented with being able to identify the fact that there's levels to this thing.
You're right, there are levels. So there are four that we are researching now that we would like to teach you guys. If you guys who don't know, the first one will be
EROS. EROS is the romantic, your intimate, that physical, that want kind of love.
I think we all experienced that at one point of our life so far. I think it's dangerous. I think it's beautiful. I think it's needed. But you have to be careful and learn how to balance. You can't have too much of your love into just romantic relationships and then you forget about the other ones that we're going to teach you a little later. I don't think that we should really spend that much time. I think we all know what this kind of love is.
That cloudy love. It can get you all cloudy.
It can also be beautiful and it can be
right.
Clarity. It depends on who you're loving. It depends on how that person is loving you.
That's right. I remember in one of the songs that Common had a verse that he said, "My mom and dad tried to teach me their love."
You want to get into it?
Man, I want to get into it. Because, technically, that's how our love started. That's how a lot of people's love start.
That's right.
And it's something that's important because being able to identify that and now actually talk about it, because people are going to need some identifiers.
Right. Okay, well, you talk about relationships and the love. I feel like we do learn it at an early age, and we learn it differently. For guys, we learn that love is to protect and provide, and just to make sure you guys are good, teach along the way. But I feel like for females, it's different. You guys are taught to look for marriage, look for companionship, have kids. We don't even think about that stuff until we're grown. No one ever taught me, I'm not going to speak for everybody, no one ever taught me about that kind of love, how to love a woman the proper way, how to prepare myself for a relationship, how to prepare myself for marriage, how to be that man already walking into the situation. That way I didn't have to learn it, once we got married 10 years later.
But that's okay though. Love is honesty. It's trust. It's respect. It's affection. Like those are the things that I look for. I seen growing up, like the love that my mom and dad taught me was toxic. It taught me toxic love, and I bonded in different relationships on that level of love that they taught me.
Right.
But knowing the type of love that I put out, those things are what I list: is the trust, is the honesty, it's the loyalty. Those are the things that I always made sure that I pushed out. And because I was taught this type of love, I didn't know how to identify getting it back though. Because that toxic love is what I thought love looked like.
Right.
Because then I had another view, which were my grandparents, on my dad's mother and father.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to see that type of love. And it was based off so many different things, from religion to life and to other people's opinions. Literally, I was raised in this view of things of I seen my grandmother go above and beyond for my grandfather. That's where I get that nurturing part of myself. That's how I know how to take care of you. I learned that from my grandmama of how she took care of him. But then I looked at my grandfather, and because my grandfather and I had a different relationship, I was able to learn that he made choices based on his options of how he showed that love. Like working hard, he worked, he had a company, he really took care of our family. My grandmama, she really didn't have to do anything. She was able to be home and just take care of the family because he completely provided. I was able to see that. But I also knew my grandfather wasn't a saint though. My grandfather and my grandmother had infidelity in their relationship, but I was able to see there was still nothing but love there. But they were so happy though. And we teach that to our kids in so many different ways.
That I could really base mine off of was my grandparents' relationship. They were together 50 years. But that taught me exactly what I just said. It taught me nothing about love, though. It showed me my granddaddy had a separate family. But my grandma still held him down and showed him nothing but love. So it pretty much showed me that's how you handled the situation growing up. I was always taught if you didn't have multiple women, you wasn't respected by other guys. So we were taught these things. I feel like women were taught those, and that's disconnect where it comes in that love in relationships. I feel like you would have to, I suggest that before anyone, I guess this will go to more of the younger adults, before you get into or feel like you want to love someone, you have to figure out how to love yourself. You have to figure out who you want in a partner, and then you have to match that before you go looking for that partner. You can't want $1 million man when you bringing $20 to the table.
That's right.
That don't mean you got to have $1 million to match, but what are you bringing?
That's right.
And I know that's a common question going around today, and it offends a lot of people, but it's realistic. What are you bringing? Are you bringing emotional baggage? Are you emotionally stable? Have you done the work to handle all your traumatic things in your past? If not, you're bringing that to the table. You're subconsciously going to react on things that you haven't dealt with back in the day. This is why all of this is important before you really get into this kind of love. We've been together 13 years. I feel like I only figured this out like the last 3 years. The first 10 years, I was still figuring out myself. I was still dealing with all the negative stuff from my past. So that would be my advice. Would you like to get into the second?
Well, it can definitely take us into our next one, which is philia. That's the brotherly love. Because there are all types: the friendship love, the brotherly love, that love of loyalty, appreciation. It's special when you're able to have that as well into a partner, a friend, a family member. That's that special type of love, because that love right there warrants respect.
Philia is really, really important. The actual word philia is where the city Philadelphia comes from. The city of brotherly love, philia love.
That way.
But the brotherly love, man, it's really, really missing. I feel like back in the 60s would have been the perfect example of what brotherly love would have been like. Those movements, watching those guys, how they came through. They really didn't care about themselves that much. They was really for the people. They were really doing everything they could with their life to make everyone else's life better, to give everyone else a chance. That they knew maybe I'm not going to see this, but if I put in the work, my grandkids will. And I feel like that's the ultimate brotherly love, the ultimate sacrifice, just showing love when you just don't have to, just loving our neighbor like the Bible said.
Yeah, that definitely makes it very important. You said sacrifice. Shoot, I look at it as the ultimate setup for positive and push forward, because you're definitely you're pushing that out to another willing participant in yourself, and that bond is being built, and it's strong. That's strong. That's a great foundation.
Right. That brotherly love that I speak of, I just want to give a couple examples, man, what brotherly love could look like. It can look like community service, feeding the homeless, just giving your time to less fortunate. May see a teenage male struggling with life in general. Brotherly love is taking them under your wing. Hey, I got you. Let me just show you a couple steps, a couple tips in life that'll help you get by this. Brotherly love can also be something simple as just communication with another person. For example, me and this guy have disagreement. Out of love, I come to you straight up. Hey, this is my issue. I feel like you did this wrong, and this is how I feel about it. That's love. Because the alternative to that is gossip, going behind people's back, slandering people's names. That's not love. So that right there, the philia could be looked at something as simple as that. Just simple communication, having enough love for one another to just work out simple stuff. Instead of picking up a gun, instead of going on Facebook or Instagram slandering somebody's name. It's just a better way. And this word philia is an example of that.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. So many, so many different ways to express philia that can be beneficial for us all. And by doing that is to remain positive. Our words have power, in providing that power in building inside of those that we love. Like, this country is based off of religion, and each religion is supposed to be based off of love, right?
Right.
And by doing that, we have the ability to pour into each other, right? Sometimes I'll make phone calls to other women that I see are strong, and I see lightness in them. I see greatness in them. I see the God in them. So I like to reach out sometimes and let them know, I appreciate you for who you are in this moment. I see you. I acknowledge now in my learning of these types of love, of how I communicate with you, of letting you know I appreciate you. I see you. Let me make sure that that's being exerted outward, pushing that energy out, because it's needed. It's needed to sometimes pick you up when you're having a day that may not be so favorable for you. That one phone call can change your entire moment.
Right. You're right. Just a simple act of kindness can really just change someone's day.